I never made it, but I know how it takes. I'm overrated, but a mix of emotion.
Good morning, good evening, good noon sa inyong lahat. Ito ay inyong lingkod, si International Master Coach Joel Banawa. At ngayong araw ay magsisimula na tayo gumawa ng mga series of instructive videos kung saan makatulong sa games dito. Okay, ngayon i-off na natin yung video natin kasi tapos na yung introductory natin. Itong mga games na to ay nanggagaling sa mga rapid games practices natin at as much as possible, ang magiging openings na gagamitin natin ay yung mga panlasang Pinoy. Okay, with the white pieces, gagawa tayo ng series sa London System, tapos sa Black, Caro-Kann, tapos sa D4, Queen's Gambit, Decline, Slab, or King's Indian, medyo undecided pa yan, pero sa tingin ko, kung ano man yung mga solid setups na madaling magamit. So, unang game, ang kalaban natin ay player from India. Ang name niya is Endgame Expert _GM na nagtatala ng rating na 2291. Okay, tingnan natin kung ano nangyari sa game. Ang game ay Caro-Kann Defense, Classical Variation, kung saan dinidepensa nila ang pawn with the knight. Ang best move dito, of course, is to capture. Kasi pag meron siyang dalawang pawn dito, tinatawag nating twin towers, ang rule dyan, dapat makapture yan or wasakin or patulakin. Hindi sila pwedeng magstay dyan kasi pag nagkamali kayo ng tira, pwede niya itulak yan. At mapapurusahan yung kabayo natin. Knight takes e4. And after knight takes e4, knight f6. This is one of the latest trend. Not necessarily better than bishop f5 or knight d7. I believe ang tawag dito is the Capablanca variation. And the knight d7 move is called the Karpov variation. Ang mga moves na to ay completely playable rin sa black. Ngayon guys, para maintindihan nyo ang konsepto ng Caro-Kann, kailangan maunawaan nyo na ang Caro-Kann ay ang tinatawag na neutralizing opening. Ibig sabihin, gusto mong matanggal lahat ng activity ng kalaban ninyo at kayo ay ka-counterattack sa endgame or gagawa ng weaknesses sa middle game or endgame sa kampo ng kalaban ninyo. At dito, dahil may knight na aktibo sa e4, gusto natin i-trade kagad ang natutulog nating kabayo para sa active knight niya sa e4 para pag kinapture niya, which is the main line, we capture back, wala na siyang active piece sa position. On top of that, in 2 moves, makakapag-castling na tayo at malagay natin yung rook natin sa e8 kung saan nakikita natin na nakabuka yung king sa e1. So pag e takes f6 natin, ang ginawa ng kalaban natin is knight f3. This is not the best move or the main move. In fact, dito sa position na to, for the longest time, ang move na tinitira nila ay c3. Ang idea niyan, dapat yung knight dito dinedevelop para hindi siya mapin, which we will see kung anong effect ng pin na pwede natin gawin later on sa game. Yun ang nangyari. With a threat against the pawn in h7, before you react, counter-attack, check muna tayo. And this is the best square for the knight para kung sakali, pagtapos depensahan ng black to at nag-castling siya, hindi basta-basta may pipin yung knight sa f3. That means, pagka hindi nakapin, mas maganda yung mobility ng position ng pieces. So babalik tayo dito, ang ginawa ng kalaban natin is not the best move, knight f3. By the way, i-add ko, theoretically, ang trend dito, kung naghanap kayo ng magandang weapon with the white pieces, i-check out yung move na bishop e3. With the same idea, they develop ng ganyan, knight e2. Instead ng magsi-c3, gustong ma-accomplish ng white yung move na c4 in one move. So, knight f3, bishop d6, ito po yung, makikita niyo yung tinatawag natin dream position, kung saan may double pawns tayo, pero lahat ng pieces natin ay aktibo. Makakapag-castling tayo, makakontrol natin yung file. Yung knight natin, madalas dito, dinedevelop sa g6. Okay, dito yung knight, dito yung bishop. Minsan kahit na hindi nyo memorizein, alamin nyo yung mga active squares kung saan ang pieces natin ay kinokontrol ang side ng kalaban. His side of the board. So, nag-bishop d3 siya, castling, and ngayon may kita natin yung irritation na magaganap dahil sa pagkapi ng knights f3. At dito nagsisimula ang counting kahirapan sa position ng white kasi iniisip niya, paano ko i-improve yung position ko without worrying about my queen and my knight. Kasi pag binove niya yung queen somewhere else, kakapturein natin yung knight and we're going to rip the king side open. No? Mabubuksan yung king niya, magwi-weak. So, ang ginawa ng white dito, nag-bishop e3, rook e8, hindi niya pa rin nalulutas yung problema niya sa diagonal na to. Tapos, nag-c3 siya, knight d7. Tinitira ko lang yung mga active squares. Kung saan pupunta yung mga pieces natin. Gusto natin itong rook na to, d8. Ito po ang kapalit ng double pawns na nakuha natin. Meron tayong active play. Okay? So, this is very good, no? So, bishop f5 ang tinira niya. Yung pala, pag knight f8 ko, ang idea niya mag-g4 na siya. Unfortunately, ito po ang gusto natin sa Caro-Kann. We're banking on this. We want him to push pawns and create weaknesses. Okay, every time nagpupush ang kalaban natin ng pawns, it creates weaknesses. And unfortunately, itong mga weaknesses na tinira niya ay madaling ma-exploit. Pag queen c2 niya, bishop c7 ang tinira ko with the idea of queen d6, and ang threat ko actually, I wanted to take on f5, queen takes f5, and then I wanted to sacrifice the rook on e3 to completely blow him in the waters and check on g3, king h1, queen takes h3 check, king dito, and so on. We have huge initiative, no? Maybe even g6 is a possibility. But he played rook d1 and I played queen d6. Hindi po nagustuhan ng engine ang tinira ko dito. Sabi niya, queen d5 is more accurate. Attacking the knight on d2. At the same time, tempo yan, no? Pwede natin double up yung pawns niya. Medyo nakafocus ako dito eh. Which is fine. Position is still equal. Pag rook e1 niya, nakita niya. Ngayon, ang ginawa ko, nag-knight e6 ako. Kung makikita nyo guys, ang nangyari dito, nag-weak yung maraming squares. Yung squares na katabi ng pawn na itinulak niya, nagiging target. Yung knight ko pwedeng pumunta sa f4. Kung papansinin nyo, bakit 4 na squares? Kasi 2 beses niya tinira yung pawn forward, that means 4 na squares. Pumunta dito, naging weak yan. Pumunta dito, naging weak yan. So, kinapture niya, pawn takes king g2. And then, ang gusto kong gawin, magdo-double up na ako dito. And then, later on, I'm gonna time the move knight f4 check. Ginawa niya c4, best move daw, rook e8. Kung mapapansin nyo, dalawa na yung double pawns natin. But double pawns is not always bad kasi nabibigyan tayo ng super active play. No? Meron tayong mga magagandang files, squares, and also diagonals sa position natin. And this is a very bad move. Yan ang masasabi natin ng weakness ng kalaban natin, tulak siya ng tulak ng pawn. And every time na tutulak ng pawn, titingnan niyo yung squares na katabi ng pawn. And we're going to take advantage of it. Ngayon, he's in trouble. We're threatening something like knight f4, and then we could take here. Siguro, knight g5 is also a threat. Maybe yan ang tamang threat kasi pag kinapture niya, rook takes e1 without hanging the bishop on c7. Queen b3. And guys, ito ang tatawagin kong dizziness due to success. Pag masyado na maganda yung position nyo, minsan nahihilo tayo kung paano natin i-exploit. Napakarami ko pong iniisip na posibilidad dito kasi napakaganda ng position natin. Isang example lang na gusto kong gawin dito, gusto kong i-pile up yung backward pawn, kumbaga tinatawag natin sa position na to. And Phoenix ko lang to para walang counterplay sa A file. And then we have so many targets, no? And sa sobrang ganda ng position natin, minsan nagiging problema rin 'yan. Sa book ni Grandmaster Alexander Kotov, sabi niya, merong tinatawag na dizziness due to success. In fact, after this move, ang ginawa ko rook d8, marami na akong idea dito. Isa sa mga idea ko actually, I wanted to play bishop b8, knight c7, and knight d5 so I can attack this pawn on b4. Pwede rin akong gumanyan, tapos pupostahan ko ng bishop. Then I can think about playing this move. However, dahil sa dami kong possibility dito na gawin, ayan, pwede na ako mag f5, f4. Medyo tinitake ko yung time, tapos maraming possibility na maging inaccurate, no? And dito, I don't know kung anong naging cause. Maybe naging impatient ako. Nakita ko naman na pwede kong capturein to, tapos f6. Then I can play something like bishop e5. Medyo naging impatient ako ng kaunti dito. Again, dahil sa dami kong pwedeng gawin dito, nag-f4 kagad ako. And I'm still winning. Pero ang mas accurate move pala dito, bishop f5, tapos pa nag-king f3, bishop takes d4, and pag nag-king takes f4, meron na daw bishop takes f2. Ayan, may mga ganyan na idea. Marami ng possibility. Unfortunately, again, due to impatience, medyo minadali ko. Hindi ko rin-evaluate yung change ng position. Sabi dito, kahit na wasak-wasak yung position niya, down siya ng pawn, equal na yung position. That's unfortunate. Kasi, passive yung rook ko, passive yung bishop ko, na kahit na lamang ako ng pawn, activity is more important than material. Lahat ng pieces niya, even though passive looking, is pressuring my pawns. So after king e4, rook e8, king f3, and then I played bishop e5 to defend all my pawns, setting up a little trick dito na pag kinapture nila yung pawns f4, I have rook f8. But, okay, again, I'm getting very impatient. Ito yung first game natin. Medyo, ang lesson dito, kailangan, kahit anong mangyari, you have to play what the position requires. Fortunately, sa position na to, nararamdaman ko na unti-unti nawawala yung advantage ko. And then I set up last trick dito with the move f3, hoping na kakapture niya, at pag-capture niya, i-atras ko yung bishop dito, and this allows me to get some time to activate the rook and go to the e2 square or e4 square without him being able to capture sa d4 right away. Kasi pa nag-bishop takes d4 sila dito, I have rook f7, nakapin lang siya. And then I'm going to play rook d7. So, huge trick, no? But to my surprise, ang ginawa niya, nag-bishop takes d5 siya, and the game ended abruptly. So guys, sa mga Caro-Kann players natin, or naghanap ng magandang weapon sa Caro-Kann, make sure to review this video. We are playing the Tartakower variation, or Tartakower. Sabi nila V daw yung pronunciation ng W. And because dinevelop niya yung knight sa f3, naging problema yung pin. For the double pawns, it's not always bad because activity matters more. Lahat ng pieces ng black is active. And then, when you are better, make sure mo na you have to play what the position requires. Huwag kang maghanap ng quick knockout. And because I was looking for a quick knockout, munti ka na mawala yung advantage sa akin. So, here, ang original na plano ko, knight takes. Pero sabi ko, bakit di lang manalo ng quick pawn? I stopped evaluating. So, kung ganyan lang, tapos atras, nakapin pa rin to, I could play bishop e5. And this would have been the more accurate way of playing. Yan ang gagawin ko dyan. King f3, rook takes d4, or sabi dito nga ng engine dito, king f7 lang daw eh. Kasi wala eh, wasak-wasak yung pawn niya, tsaka lahat nasa dark squares. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you like and subscribe. And salamat sa time nyo, sa panonood, at sana i-share nyo at i-spread yung word about this new instructive videos na gagawin natin. Ayun lang guys. Thank you guys.
I never made it, but I know how it takes. I'm overrated, but I mix up emotion.